Yo, I've been being like super productive all day on the like financial side of things. So I'm gonna get back more in touch in like my personality, my spirituality, and a big part of that is my society, my environment. Whether I'm an introvert or a family man, you know, all of this is intertwined with everything else. Because without nothing, there's everything. Without everything, there can be nothing. So let's go. Why am I looking at the light? Let me look at a camera. I'm used to. You heard me though. So right now I'm getting into. This is like a big. I could say like a big presence in the media and the black community, the minority community. So um, by curiously doing this with them, or on top of this, it was gonna make this easier because I don't know. I should have put this under the manifestation to reality section, but why ruin the fun for everybody, right? Right? Yeah.
We are all just part of the frequency that's necessary, which is why I never come by myself. Because history is selfish. History shows the one man, but it's always a team planet.
You do your thing, and you do it well. Now, it's time to do it bigger. It's time.
Now, have you ever been down the rabbit hole of knowledge? I guess you could say, right? That's why in religion they say don't bite from the tree. Um, there's something called CC, and it's like collective consciousness. And it's what some people like to call God. It's also what some people like to call the ego or Satan. It's really like a duality of how nature and life repeats itself, how deja vu really happens. And you're gonna hear me refer and give examples throughout this as we go throughout this because that's where I feel like it's most likely gonna go. But hey, before someone tries to like check me using them, I'm gonna let you know why. The only thing they did is experience. They probably have the funds to like show you more visuals than me, but my words probably gonna hit harder for your present and future self. I'm sorry.
Transformation. I need every man in here to see inside himself, to stop living in fantasy, stop living in his potential. What I mean by just thinking about it rather than doing it. There's no reason that you don't pick up one of these advancements, one of these skill sets, or you add on to a team. Because we need somebody that builds relationships.
Now, thinking, you do need to think. You need to meditate on it, right? That's why it's a lot easier to get ahead of a get. Nah, I froze because I shouldn't have used that example. You should meditate on things. You should think about something, right? And meditation is not only in your head. You can also like meditate in real life. So let's say like you could premeditate on something, as in sample, trying something out, go in with those intentions, a trial basis. That's also part of the thinking and contemplating process that we're now in the possibility, now in the times to where you can do said things in many different ways, whether it's VR, digitally, or in person. Thing is though, not everyone may have the background from, let's say, their previous generations or ancestors, right? They don't have the knowledge, or they haven't been exposed to the knowledge yet. Like to this day, there's just so many ways. So
We need somebody that's the thinker, we need somebody that's the organizer, and we need somebody that's the executor. If you have those four, you have an army.
now there's a power in numbers. Not everyone can be. I can't find it now, of course. I need it, but not everyone can be a lone wolf, right? Um, and being a lone wolf even has its limitations, right? You could be such a lone wolf that you're a dominating personality to where like you could scare a group, but a group of, but in human terms, even like a company that has one boss still has a pyramid of officials and extensions of himself under him, right? And that's why I feel like the whole spiritual warfare aspect, where some people get like still refer to like their jobs in 9 to 5 as slavery, and or they feel possessed and all the other stuff, the other metaphors I like to say, because not everything is resonating with you, but not everything should resonate with you, right? Like if you personify God, God also, he has to bless people, and he has to take from people. He has to give people, he has to take to transform and make what he made with Stardust, which is reality, right?
So when you around the men that you around the women that you around, y'all want to talk about gender wars or y'all want to talk about going to war?
All right. So gender wars, it's crazy because that's just sex and reproduction. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a lot of monkey see, monkey do, right? But at the end of the day, that's still such a small population, right? Even if everyone became bisexual overnight, let's say, babies will still accidentally be made, or nature itself will take over, and psychology mess with people to where we would go back to still reproduce if nature deems us valuable, sustained, right? So me personally, I like to meditate, I like to go outside, I like to connect with nature as often as I can, so nature knows that I am with it, and I'm not gonna like get cancer overnight. You see what I'm saying? Or birds are not gonna just naturally want to poop on me, right? You see what I'm saying? Little things like that.
And business is warfare. So if we come together, we have an idea, we plan, we budget, we sit it together, we give everybody their plan that they have to go do, because that's what I do with my family. I don't talk family business.
Oh, sorry. Let me slow this down. I forget. Yeah, I gotta talk slower. This is what happens when you spend too much time by yourself.
I run the family business. My father here, my sisters here, my mother, my brothers, they work in operation with me. We started off with the same dysfunctional background as your family. But we learn to communicate. We learn to respect each other.
But to show you, if you speed it up and you just listen and kind of accept the fact that some of this you may have heard before, you'll only hear what you need to hear, right? I don't know. This might blow up. Not many people may find out this secret. I like to keep it to myself, but yeah.
Learn to have vision, mission, and principles that we all go for.
Because when someone taught me how to do that, show me about this, I was like, okay, but that still doesn't make sense to how you can fully reciprocate everything. And I was like, your mind really moves that fast. Maybe my mind really is moving that fast, but I'm definitely not retaining everything that he's saying. And you don't have to retain everything that he's saying.
So I'm about to bring out my brother Billy Carson. Y'all do me a favor, play the 432s real quick. It's energy you gotta feel in the room. That's what you came here for. We got so much of a frequency of death around us, we don't never get it. And finally, the world need how I'm gonna steal it. So we choke a man, because he can't people who got it the worst.
I get it. Some people need to warm up. I don't like warm ups. Warm ups actually take away from my energy. So
Because they're gonna
I'd rather save as much energy as I can for the performance.
benefit the most when it comes to change. But he said if you choke a man, he don't have access to spirit. His fire is gone. It starts to distinguish, and he dies. And a lot of us don't control our energy and our key and our spirit, and we listen to music that takes us out of vibration. So I need y'all to breathe with me. This is scientifically proven to decrease anxiety.
If you're conscious of your vibration changing, then like you can still enjoy music because this is art. But I guess you have to put a boundary between you and the music, which a lot of people don't have, which a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't have to do, because let's say they go to church and they like cleanse or whatever, they do other spiritual thing to cleanse their energy. Or honestly, if you're listening to music but then you turn it off and you do something else, that's gonna change your vibration, unless you're consciously maintaining a set vibration to where you can listen to low vibrational music and still vibrate at a higher thing dominating over said music, which is what I do, which is why I guess my mom Dukes never understood why I could listen to like hard street shit and be so chill and nonchalant, where I was like, yo, like, that's reality, but, I'm going to apply that same drive and energy into schoolwork. That's how I was able to, like, act and present myself in a way like I'm in the streets, compared to what I was actually projecting to the world, which was bookwork, schoolwork, clubs, little things like that, societal things like that.
Anxiety. I need black people calm in a rest state to where we can think and we can.
Yeah, it honestly, I personally think it's that easy. Yeah, you can get lost having some fun in the moment or acting or whatever, but just look down your hands and look around and be like, wait.
Win the war. Take a deep breath. After you take a deep breath, take another one at the height of it. It fills the pockets of your lungs, clearing out all of that carbon dioxide. And it instantly puts you in a state of relaxation, decreasing anxiety by a high percentage. So throughout the day, you got to control yourself. That's our power. Take that deep breath.
See? Never watched this before.
And I need everybody to get on.
Never finished one of his lectures or listened to a full lecture. Maybe I fell asleep. He often puts me back to sleep. I feel like I'm listening to a doppelganger sometimes, but it's cool though. It's cool. That's why I try not to over-explain things so much, because of people like him, I can rinse and repeat the content, or I can simplify the content, clip it, because I only see like, whitewash content, which is, I get it, which is not racist, but due to generational backgrounds, some people need to do some skipping, and eventually, like I learned in my freshman year of college, it's stored in our DNA. We all know that now. So
On their feet and get ready for Billy Carson. We about to have a high level conversation. Ready? Step on the stage.
Looking for an easy way to get that LLC next to your business name? Say hello to Taylor Brand. You just go to their site, enter your LLC.
They just speak to the people and go out there and inspire the world, especially brilliant people who can go out. To me, 2000.
I really want to go outside and like talk to people. I've been making a note. I have notes, right, of like things I'm going to talk to people about, bring up, but there's just this bad energy that's like keep bringing what looks like bad luck, like just real inconveniences, and I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I ain't gonna do nothing that's gonna kill me. You feel me? Intentionally. So, some things you will have to figure out on your own.
24 is about experiences. It's about creating moments in time that we never forget, that can shape us for the rest of our lives. Often when I travel the world, it changes me. It gives me exposure that I can never take back, and it expands my viewpoint, the way I see things, the way I observe. When I went to Ghana, it did that for me. It gave me a place of safety.
That's funny. He recently went there. I mean, it is a very an African civilization that recently I mean, that's been around for a long time, and long time, longer than America. And it's so crazy because in my previous job that I just left, ironically, there was a bunch of Ghanaians there, and they were telling me about the culture there and stuff, and it's just about the same. It really needs an industrial revolution, maybe, or after a while, some people outgrow it and want to leave, and some people generally just want to stay.
Me a place of peace, and it changed my perspective.
But they are still in touch with a lot of their primitive things and transformed it into modern ways, which is what I love about African culture.
about what I need to do to go upon this global mission in this reality. And when I went to Egypt, it gave me a sense of connection that I never was even looking for in the first place. I walked into the pyramid and there was an overwhelming spiritual moment that took me. And I knew from that moment on, I had to bring other people with me. Standing in front of the Sphinx is different than looking at it in textbooks. When you're able to experience it in real life for yourself, history becomes reality, and then you become a part of that. I want to take people down the Nile. I want to take people to those places that you can't get access to.
And the more history you learn, the more of your reality you become aware of. Positively and negatively, but like negatively as in like, whoa, I could have got hit by that train, but I didn't.
We're going to have a party. We're going to have a party at the Sphinx. And we're going to be stepping outside dressing godly in the drip. And this is going to be our ritual of tapping in to our God or our God selves. This is one that's going to be for all the ages. Not for all ages. Your kids can't come. But when I say all ages, I'm talking about time. That defies time and space. And we're going to put them crowns on and we're going to move through. And it's going to be an experience that you're going to be able to tell your children and you're going to be able to brag about for the rest of time. And we're going on my born day as well, during tourist season. So you know we got to put our feet in the sand. And you know we're going to feel a great time. Come with me to Egypt and let's return to the now. And be in the
He's
now.
pre-planning
They
this.
are, but we going back. Make sure y'all go to 19keys.com/events and get your tickets before we fill up.
That's pretty
Peace.
cool. Must be nice.
Mercedes-Benz,
I project no negative energy.
the perfect combination of elegance
Just like to keep the spirits up.
and innovation. Over a century of tradition.
Conversations, I teach a lot. I give a lot of all my notes, studies, research. I give that to the people, not even freely, because we put together a budget for the production, right? So I pay it so that the people can have it. When we do these experiments, because this is a social experiment. Y'all know that this is trailblazing. This hasn't been done in this way, right? Where we're trying to create these new intellectual concerts, right? Where we can go out and we can have a good time, we can get some enlightenment, and we can change the habits that we have, right? So we can start restoring the moralization of who we are and getting back to those values, bringing back focus on the things that's necessary. Then you take that energy that you have and the time that you have throughout the rest of your life and your days, and then you can point that energy into something that's productive, right? So these things are necessary because we've been doing so much nigga shit so long that even when we get money, all we do is nigga shit. So they don't mind us getting money and being rich because they know, oh, he gonna get $1 million, but he ain't go pull up on Zeke and be like, all right, let's start that foundation. He ain't gonna pull up on Zeke and be like, yo, what the army need, what the people need. He ain't gonna do that. So they first have to destroy your mind before they allow you to get some funds, because you would fund a dangerous mind once you got it. So I can tell the type of man.
Huh? Corruption's real.
And who he is once he gets.
Or dreams versus dreams. Whose reality will dominate said environment?
Get some money. You can tell a man by what his mind does, what his hands produce. Like, damn, you got all that money and you ain't doing nothing. So my good brother Billy Carson is somebody I see. He be getting to the money, but he be doing something.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
Because some people who hold all the money and play with it like a game actually are preventing some of y'all from getting it. But the thing is, at the same time, money's a man-made construct. So I think if there's enough people, even if there's an inflation of dollars, it will balance out compared to if there's more money than there is people. something like that. Something like that with Jamaica. I don't know. Just know in Jamaica, it's different.
So let's start this off, brother.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I don't really want to harp a little bit on the traumatic state that we're in, because I have a
Yeah.
thesis that if we can get us out of those traumas, then we clear the path for us, right? And I want to talk a little bit about epigenetics, because we don't realize that, you know, they've done tests on animals and bugs, and they found out how you can pass down particular memories,
Yeah.
right? Even sometimes they just sliced up particular worms, chopped them up, and then they found out that the other animals that ate that worm still had those memories induced in it,
Yeah.
right? And within our culture, we have epigenetic trauma that we hear about PTSD, but we don't really understand trauma.
Right.
So can you give us a breakdown of trauma? And I want to talk about some of the work that you've done with Dr. Amos as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a really, really important topic that you're talking about, because we have so much trauma in our bloodline, and we need to learn how to get it out of the bloodline. And it can be taken out of the bloodline, scientifically proven. If you look back at the history of, slavery, right? 15 to 20 generations ago, whatever happened to your ancestors is in your body right now. It's called epigenetic memories. Now, Dr. Bruce Lipton basically rediscovered this about 25 years ago. I say rediscover because we never truly discover anything. We only rediscover what already happened. And he rediscovered it, and he was scoffed. They laughed at him. They told him he was crazy. His peers tried to excommunicate him from the whole society and everything else, from science. And now here we go, fast forward, 25 years later, today, it's common knowledge. It's taught in universities all around the world. We know that the traumas that happened in your family's past, in your bloodline's past, exist in your body, passed down through the RNA, and now they just found out something else. The RNA transfers it through the father's side, but they found that through the DNA. Some of it also comes through
I forgot what class. No, I oddly learned this in my English class. Or was it literature? And I was like, interesting.
the other side as well. So you're talking 15 to 20 generations. Think about that massive number. Can you even think about 15 generations ahead of yourself right now from your own bloodline? Can you even conceive how
It's so crazy what you'll learn. Like, that's why it's like, you just go try. Because, it's like one day I was an electrician job learning about, like, the gym, And, like, macros and micros. It's crazy.
far ahead that is? What type
You gotta get out there.
of civilization will we have on this planet right now, 15 generations from now? I'll tell you, it'll be a bad one if we don't get our act together now.
Yeah.
If we don't clean up our act now, clean up our genetics now, and we can do it ourselves. All right, and that's the most important thing. Now, these epigenetics, what's interesting is the traumas that have happened, the PTSD, all the rapings, the killings, the murders, the enslavement, mental and physical, is all inside of our bodies. And the biggest problem we have is today, you are acting out on those ancient thoughts and ancient memories without even knowing about it. There's people going, why am I having these suicidal thoughts? And I have.
And there's black people out there, but like, never my bloodline. That never happened to me. Not a day in my life. They lying.
A great life.
I don't know. Maybe they're not lying. I can't say that. That was childish of me. But who cares?
Why am I anxious and I have no problems that I'm
You get the gist.
dealing with right now? Why do I feel like I want to go do something dark or evil or angry? Why am I always pissed off and so angry all the time? A lot of that could be with your
See, like what I said, I felt like who cares came from that. Well, who cares might put someone in that state. But honestly, I'm saying who cares as in, let's just move on. Now that you're aware.
epigenetics and what's stored inside of your own body. So these scientists in Russia started experimenting with different types of sound and frequency technologies. And they found that specific frequencies can turn some of these epigenetics on and also turn them off.
Like which ones?
Well, cymatic frequencies, just particular frequencies, 528 hertz, 432 hertz, 936 hertz, different ranges on the hertz scale can activate, reactivate, turn off, turn on, and even cure and heal your DNA and RNA.
So
That's pretty
let's
interesting.
try a little bit. Let's play the fear frequency.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, the fear frequency is anything below human hearing. So it's below 19 hertz, right? Isn't that number 19? So in movies, they play this frequency. You can't hear it, but you feel it.
He just did something. Hold on. Let me see if I hear it again.
Below 19 hertz, right? Isn't that number 19? So in movies, they play this frequency. You can't hear it, but you feel it, right? So there's a disassociation. So usually, you know, you might feel like you tough, you sitting at home and there's a scary movie scene, and you like, why did I jump off that, right? It wasn't you tough. It's just they played that frequency and you felt it. You know what I'm saying?
Especially if you allow it, you know, like sometimes I'll be like, I'm trying to get into it. And then it's like, I don't get into it, I'm like, then I could laugh at it though. So I still find a way to make it positive or make it serve me.
It was the frequency. We're going to put it on the frequencies.
Yeah.
So now let's go up a frequency higher above that. And I want y'all to just think about how you feel. So with this is Detroit, home of Motown, right? Home of a lot of great music. And music entrains in us, right? We see how young kids go crazy. They listen to some NBA YoungBoy, and they can't put the gun down out the video, risking $200 million. You know what I'm saying? But music has such a powerful ability to control us, right? And we don't realize that it puts us in these frantic states to where it can induce anxiety, right? And when we in these states, we can be triggered more easily. So therefore, somebody, you know, bump on you or step on your shoe, and a emotionally resilient, high vibrational mindset, you somewhere at 432, you relax, you know what? It's cool, right? But when you just looking into some gangster music, you're ready to pop off because you are in that state, right? You're not a gangster, right? You just been triggered because of where your frequency is.
Right, you've been programmed.
Right, because the gangster's the one who can control.
You've been programmed is crazy because it's like no one made you listen to that music. You maybe have been exposed to it, but you tolerate it. And if these guys are expose this to you, you might as well be exposed to the fact that like you are capable of selective hearing and ignoring, and be able to ignore or bypass something using your second nature to where you even have to do it yourself. You're just gonna naturally ignore it. Now frequencies play a big part in selective hearing because when you experience like malice and violence and aggression towards you, you want to remember those frequencies. So therefore, something that doesn't serve you, you can easily ignore, and something that, let's say, doesn't serve you but's coming towards you, that's preying on you, you can notice it and you can put up a barrier or dodge it. Like I be doing, I be like, ooh, whoa, dodge that train.
Control themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And so music has been destroying our ability of self-control for a very long time. So can we play the 4 or the one right after the fear? I want you to just kind of go up.
And due to the mass amount of people that are, this is a theory though, and I like the teachings of my brother Jesus Christ, but considering the fact that Lucifer is the angel of music and he was sent down to earth for soaring, let's say, too close to the sun, right? Blasphemy. People tend to immediately associate or put music into a negative context. Hence, therefore, that's why I believe in the most newest religion, which is agnostic. No, agnostic has to be the first. Let's say Islam. They say you shouldn't really listen to music, or I say you shouldn't really listen to. You're actually banned not to listen at all. I don't really. You could tell I don't follow that rule, you know. But I'm just so here consciously that like that rule doesn't serve me in the greater scheme of things.
In frequency. You can bring out the water as well. We don't mind seeing a couple people bring out some water. We thirsty as hell.
Thank you.
They over there waiting
Yes,
to bring out the
appreciate
H2O. I'm trying to survive. Now, I want you to keep going up till you go all the way to gamma. And without us saying nothing, I just want you to think about how you feel. Because the music, on the back end of this music, all of them have a certain resonant frequency that it vibrates at.
I saw that the Google UX design certificate was flexible. That's motivating when you have 2 kids. I finished in 5 months.
I'm not to go over gamma waves
At
with you.
Delta, a higher peak of mental abilities. Throughout the day, we may start at Delta, where we in that sleep range, and then throughout the day, we go all the way up to Gamma, where we at that high focus. We are more emotionally resilient throughout that day. But the reason that, you know, it's hard for us to control ourselves, like I said, because of the music that we eat. So when a person I say music that we eat, it is feeding us for sure.
Yeah.
But the music and the food, but it's all low vibrational. So when a person say low vibrational, right, it's an actual real thing, right? It's not just saying that and it sound cool or it's some Hemotep woke shit to say. Like, no, it's scientific, right? What you do frequently becomes your frequency. And so without being able to control yourself and control the pace,
That's not a great idea. I gotta put in the bucket. The bucket. Ugh. That's Neosport. What the Tylenol. Ugh. Oh, there's my pen. Sheesh. Definitely have to take some Tylenol and get back to sitting after this. Because I haven't seen one ad this whole stream. So you definitely not gonna get paid. Definitely can't get paid for this. But whatever.
your heartbeat, the way that you...
I mean, like, down the line. But I've been doing community service for the longest, so it's all good, y'all. It's all good. I'm not out here begging. Not at all. Appreciate the support, though.
He's in that fight or flight. And I use this example all the time. Like, imagine you in, you know, the jungle and there's a tiger. All of a sudden, you freeze up. Your vagus nerve system sends signals throughout your body and tell you to relax. That's survival mode, right? When you're sitting on the couch and you know you're supposed to be working, right? Instead, you're in a constant state of freeze, right? That's survival mode. Trying to protect you from doing those things you know you're supposed to do, those hard emotions. So being able to get out of those, somebody was asking me what's the solution for a lot of hip hop music. A lot of it is stop listening to it. At least take a break. When I listen to it, is when I want to be at that aggressive rate. I want my heart beat up, but I take that energy out, I'm in the gym. Or right before I get on stage, I want my heartbeat to be bumping, but I'm not gonna do that inside the household because I'm supposed to be in an environment of peace. And so in our neighborhoods, we don't have peace music, we have war music. And we wonder why when we see each other, I see an enemy, I see a threat.
Sometimes you just gotta crack a window open. I'm just saying.
I see a combatant.
Or update the filter on the house. That's like low level though. They're probably referring to something like way deeper.
I'm in survival mode.
Way more higher priority. See, like this guy right now, he's really using his frontal cortex. And he has to chill on that. I think he's really debating the decision and he's struggling. I know y'all see this. Don't act like I don't see what be happening when I be watching these videos.
I'm triggered. So for me, one of the most chief things for us to do is to be able to get out of survival mode, but we can't do that if our frequency is constantly being trained for death.
Right. Yeah, that's what happens. What you said is accurate. You're talking about we're always at war. Mentally, we're always at war. And a lot of this goes back to, if you look at the situation with slavery, when they had the buck breaking, right? Or you come on campus now, I'm gonna take your whole family away. The wench, she's gonna go over here. I'm gonna take the buck, I'm gonna take him over there. Then I'm gonna put some of them in the big house, and some of y'all gonna go out in the field. Now this creates this animosity and this anger.
Yeah.
That also turns into epigenetic memories.
Right.
Now you fast forward into the future, and you have these beats and these frequencies that are
He basically just explains separation anxiety.
war. And a lot of this goes back to, if you look at the situation with slavery, when they had the buck breaking, right? Or you come on campus now, I'm gonna take your whole family away.
Separation. Mm. Is that a separate comment?
Away. The winch, she's gonna go over here. I'm gonna take the buck, I'm gonna take them over there. Then I'm gonna put some of them in the big house, and some of y'all gonna go out in the field. Now this creates this animosity and this anger.
Yeah.
That also turns into epigenesis through the jealousy, anger, pretty much fueled by the music and the frequencies.
Right.
Rise to the top, jealousy.
No, the thing is, another reason why they could keep saying the music fuels these negative tendencies is because it can reinforce it. It can re-traumatize you. You haven't healed from that trauma, or if you haven't been able to reconstruct that aggressive, violent pain into, like, let's say, like a diamond, right? People love diamonds, but how are diamonds made? Diamonds are made by being beat up until they shine, right? So, essentially, or being squished until they become a diamond. And that's what basically they're getting into when it comes to what this music could do to you over time if you never become conscious of the way it's affecting you, if it's affecting you. Because some people like to play victim. I'm not saying you, but some people like to play victim.
Anger and want to fight our brother or sister.
And sometimes you might accidentally play victim, or people will interpret you of playing victim, even though you're not. You're just speaking on the situation casually. Some people might accuse you of playing victim, so be aware of that.
Rise to the top again, and they're pretty much fueled by the music and the frequencies.
Right.
That's what's happening. And you know, everything used to be at, well, right now everything is at 440 hertz pretty much on all radio and all frequency broadcasting. They already did a scientific study on 440 hertz and discovered that it's actually detrimental to the human body. So all the music that you're listening to from the radio and from all these big time artists, there's only very few artists that put music.
I always turn my radio off, especially once I learned that. And when I did get, when I started to like talking to God, trying to talk to God more and get more into like myself, my spirituality, that shit started getting trippy. I just never like, even my Bluetooth doesn't work. I'd rather not listen to the radio because it just throws off my vibe and brings me into like realities that don't serve me. Like all of a sudden, some things are not serving me anymore like they used to. Things won't be going my way like they used to. Like my car the other day.
It got in 432 hertz and 528 hertz. All music that I produce
I
is
feel like I have to gatekeep now, and I've never really been a gatekeeper, but like now I gotta start gatekeeping.
always at 432 or 528.
Ooh,
But if you go
that's a
to the
good one.
majority of the big mainstream artists, it's always at 440. And they know, the people in the background know that level, that frequency is detrimental to human DNA.
Right. See, in voodoo, you know, there's a term, well, not a term, but the scientific approach that they go by is multi-sensory experience. So I was telling people, when you see like, you know, high level conversation tour, or the highest level tour rather, it's not where we want it to be, it's where the budget is, right? Because what we were gonna have, we would have holographics and we would have projections coming out. We would have Malcolm X sitting right here talking with us.
Right.
It would have been different. It'd be a multi-sensory experience. We talked about like, we'll have somebody like spraying a certain fragrance in the audience so it induces your smell. Then we had the visuals queued up to where every time we talk, it's going to a different B-roll or different color. So enhancing your senses, the only thing that really gets all five is sex.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why people crave it so much. Right? So
Oh, the subtitle threw me off.
instead, we want something.
Like, I see why they refer to themselves as gods, because you could say a human gave God the name God, right? The brain created the name God or Allah or whatever. I don't know that many languages. Okay, so wait, what was I gonna say? Oh, sex. Like naturally, like you ever think an animal's born, the animal eats, it shits, it sleeps, and it repeats that until it reaches the point to where it can do that on its own. And once it's able to do that on its own, it eventually reaches the point to where I don't know why we reproduce. That's just nature. You know what I mean? And I don't know. If you don't want to reproduce the back of your head, good luck. I don't know.
Right? Which is why people crave it so much.
I feel like all I'm hearing is blasphemy, 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 blasphemy. So I'm not gonna get any deeper on that.
Right? So instead, we want something to where, you know, and why
Beyond those four principles, that's why I think four means hard work pays off. Live your dream.
Voodoo said that because you smoke, you drink, you have the rhythm, which is the music, and this is why people get into this, you know, this trance where they lose themselves and they just in the spirit, right? So it's an out-of-body experience. That's why we love going to the club, right? We dancing on somebody, we get all of our senses, the smell is going. So it's literally creating these environments. When they say sex sells, it's not just the visual representation of sex, but it's the experiential, right, of sex and what we've learned.
This is the aspect of life. You know, you wouldn't get here without it. You know, before sex, there's osmosis. We out here doing osmosis. A seahorse can do osmosis, but we can't do that anymore. Maybe we never could.
From that. So it keeps us in that vibrational state where we're easily to be controlled and manipulated because we're in trance and we're listening to music constantly, just saying yes to it, not thinking about what we're actually agreeing to.
Yes, exactly. We're signing an agreement every time we bob our head. And consciously, those lyrics that are going out from whatever the lyric is, and once you agree to it, now you're in collusion. And when you're in collusion,
if you're at this point in your life, like honestly, all I gotta say is, if you look at it as like a movie or a TV show, Like how Lil Durk says, you know, one of my favorite rappers. This shit is not real. It is all props. Look at it that way. Listen to it that way. And then live your life at the same time.
Cooperating with it, and the outcome is part of your fault.
Right.
A lot of the times we keep going, look what they did and look what's going on, look what they're doing to us, look what the government's doing to us, everything else.
Entertaining the people, man. Entertaining the people.
But at the same time, at the end of the day, sometimes we got to look in the mirror and point back at ourselves. And we got look what we're doing to ourselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because
and
we're
not to cut your
colluding with
wisdom, but it's like reverse engineered. A lot of these things are just reversal. When we talk about the demoralization, then destabilization, then crisis, then standard, is these 4 stages the Soviet guy named when he talked about how you destabilize a country and a society. And he said after that first 25 years, after that it's over with.
It's locked.
Because those children aren't trained with it, and we're so past 25-year stage.
Yeah.
We are now the generation that are a product of it, right? So
But in America, especially in America, and the way society is, we don't have to develop and grow into a self-sufficient being or entity so fast that, you know, now some people aren't fully adults till they're 30. People aren't having kids between 30 and 40, and there's like special need kids being born left and right because of how easy they think life is or how easy their life really is. That's a small statistic amount of the the huge population. But, you know, because the way black people had to survive up until about 100, 200 years ago, I think that's why we developed so much faster, so much quicker than other races, you know, and or other people from other regions of the world, where their ancestors come from other regions of the world. I'm gonna say that more often, where their ancestors come from other regions of the world. Because, you know, maybe we ain't chased a lion, but we chased a zebra. You see what I'm saying? Like little things like that. I chased a lion and I kick a little goat, get a little goat.
He's been demoralized, and that's why they took away, people like, why they take away, you know, the TV mediums to where we had wholesome family morals being guided us, right? There was a time where Dr. Wesley gives a breakdown on this where you can see the percentage rate increase, where it no longer was talking about, you know, protecting and revolution. Instead, new words came in like nigga and bitch and hoe and sex and murder and things of that nature. You start to see an increased frequency of it. And then that became the frequency of hip hop. And now we're looking at the children who are a byproduct of that because we're past 25 years. Now we 50 years into hip hop. Right?
Nigga, bitch, hoe. But nigga, bitch, and hoe, honestly, opens you up to a whole new world of literature and like codes and languages and reading in between the lines, which is really cool. And it's like, it's honestly like a whole community, you know? Because like besides surviving, which is all you naturally are really responsible for, the rest is just keeping society afloat, which is, in a sense, sometimes supporting someone else's dream. But sometimes for some people who are really big and rich, coincidentally, they're only big and rich because the village ended up relying on that alpha so much, you know? Some people step back and rather support an alpha or let someone lead, which is natural, like the queen bee and all her bumblebees. So, yeah.
But
I hope, yeah.
it's been probably about, especially since the 90s, right? 30 years in, past 25 years, where this generation is now making it standard. So where now they don't have to do nothing. They don't have to physically go into a neighborhood with a military and shoot you down. No, they have you working against yourself. Right? So now,
which is good. Now, before he explains it, I want you to think that this is what I did. All right, I've been this woke since I've been like 3 years old, but you're not allowed to work till you're 16, 18, unless you're in a really poor area. And I had to listen to my parents, and I left it at that. So, what's it called? What was I about to say? What was I about to say?
You down. No, they have you working against yourself.
Yeah. So, you working against yourself. If you're always working against yesterday's you, that's great. Now to work against future you, that's recessive. That's reverting. That's demolishing, demon. That's devilish, diverting. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? So now the thing that he said was critical was that when you properly demoralize a people, even if you tell them the truth, they won't take it.
That's right.
He said you can give them the exact guide, the exact strategy.
Now, morals are a big part of your personality, right? Now, in a conforming way where a lot of people are similar, like all girls are the same, all guys are the same, for sure. You heard people bring up morals and things like that a lot because they have a very simplistic look on the whole world, or very generalized perspective on the whole world. That's how they see everything, regardless of what the world projects back to them.
The exact plan. Y'all know you can go to some of your family members, you can go to the hood, you can tell them exactly what's right, and they won't listen. It's become a standard like this.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my brother because I'm like, yo, you know, Malcolm X during this time, I know he'd be baffled.
Yeah.
Right? Because every leader in every generation, they have a different struggle of how to reach our people.
Right.
Right? In their time, at least they had the music that assisted it. Right? So he was friends with, you know, Marvin Gaye, or not Marvin Gaye, but what's Sam Cooke? Come on, sister, know what we're talking about. You feel me? So the musicians started to go along with the movement.
Right.
Because there's certain things that you have to embed to start changing the frequency.
Who's Marvin Gaye?
At Full Sail, our technology
Bob
programs are
Marley
designed
pops
with
up
a
next.
different approach to learning. We let students
Sure.
get hand.
Mother, there's too many of you crying.
Yeah, listen to the lyrics.
Brother, there's far too many of you dying.
Empathetic person. I see why. That's why he's so known. Empathetic. Right there. Empathetic music.
Can't just talk.
And that's a very like general empathetic. Whether it's physically what he was doing or metaphorically what he just said.
It has to be in the food. It has to be in the events, right? It has to be in the clothing. It has to be ground movements. It has to be the technological movements. It has to be in the spiritual movements. It has to be everywhere so that it becomes an environment and it encapsulates you so you can't get away from it. Binaural beats is having two frequencies, and in the middle you hear one, right? So it's the same thing when I think about morals and good things. In our lives, we have a percentage of things that are negative and a percentage of things that are positive. And who we become is the balance in the middle. That becomes our frequency. So until...
Yeah, like, if we were to look closely at, like, left brain, right brain, there's always a white line in the middle, and one's blue and one's red. Now, if you really think about it, have you ever seen, like, dirty yellow paint, or, like, paint mixed with, like, red and a blue, and it's, like, really dark? You know, it turns brown, okay? And the hottest color of light is actually white. And I've said this before, so I'm gonna say it again. You know, don't stop dreaming. DSD. Dang, they're kind of slumped, but going live later tonight. I don't know. Might be Fortnite. Might be Warframe. Probably not gonna get a new game till like happy holidays time, maybe. Unless, you know, someone donates. I'm just saying.
This becomes the norm. I don't want this to be revolutionary. I want it to be standard. I want this to be a normal Friday evening, Thursday night, right? Where imagine you did this 100 times out the year, who you would become.
Right.
So, right, is remoralizing and changing the things that we give attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the best things you can do is use affirmations. And that's huge. That's why I wrote the song Affirmations, which is my #1 song that I have.
I'm still trying to see if affirmations really work. I try to pay attention to more people or find people that like actually practice them. My stepmom does it, but it's like me myself, it gives me a headache. Sometimes I feel like, what am I doing? Am I lying to myself? If I accidentally believing it too early, why I make like impulsive decisions that only future me could have made, not current me, which will inevitably delay the future me that I'm visualizing. So I would just be cautious of those things when it comes to affirmation. I really got to clip this video, affirmations and or someone has to clip this video, affirmations and manifestation.
You can get that song, Affirmations by Forbidden Knowledge, on any music platform. You can listen to it for free on YouTube even, right? But what I did was I realized the power of the spoken word and how it actually influences the DNA and the RNA in the human body.
Hey, bro. If your religion is Christian, or if you go, not even that, if you go at the Bible, where it says, or if you're a hard believer, you put a lot of faith into prayer, where it says, word is God, or it's something along those lines, be cautious of what you say, because it can bend your reality. Be very cautious. Or make sure you pray and ask for forgiveness, Give it up to the higher power to help filter out your debris of your actions.
Deeper than just listening to it and going, oh, this is making me feel good. On a genetic level, it's manipulating you in a positive way. And so what I try to do is encompass all different aspects of the music, you see? So that everyone can feel like there's something here I can relate to.
Yeah.
And that song...
Because, energy is transformed, but, let's imagine someone making some metal, right? When they smash that metal, there's debris. When you're splashing mud making a brick house, there's mud splashing, there's debris. Debris is part of it. Sometimes things can be really smooth to where it's super clean, but rarely.
It's so powerful. Once you memorize those affirmations, you'll be able to speak them randomly whenever you need one of them. And that then will begin to speak power over your life and your own genetics. And by that method, for 21 days of doing that, speaking those affirmations out loud for 21 days, scientifically proven in real laboratories, duplicatable science, will reprogram your DNA.
So,
my hairline will grow back expeditiously. My forehead will shrink. My the front of my hair will be thicker. I will be able to Google the answers and remember it for work. Yes. I will be able to Google and do the work at the same time to where my boss does not care. But honestly, after the first 2 weeks, it should probably be pretty easy. But anyways, you see what I did there? Yeah. I do those every day. I will think of original content. My content will serve people.
you got an idea
I should
for a
have did all that
business.
while the ad
The
was
store of your
playing. Let's do some more. I'll do some German ones. I will wake up tomorrow. The people I care about will wake up tomorrow. When we sleep, we heal. When we sleep, we recover. I need to drink some water. I'm sweating right now. Too easy. I'm attractive. Oh, look. Right, that's it. But yeah. You can YouTube a video. I can make these videos, but that's someone else's niche. Not mine.
So I know I asked you when we was coming, we gonna have a conversation, or you can do a kind of interview. So did you have any questions, or did you just want to flow?
This is flow, man. We in the flow state right now.
Yes, sir.
We in the flow state.
All right, so I want to talk about building, right? Both of us have been able to build, media empires, if you will, right? I'm in those stages, but I'm speaking it into reality.
Yeah.
Right? But it comes with a lot of strategy and planning.
Right.
Right? We often think in our culture that you chosen by the Illuminati if you're successful.
Yeah. True story.
We don't think that a person actually has to work every single day and figure it out, right? And in that figuring out, you got to learn branding, you got to learn marketing, you got to study war strategy, you got to study neuroscience, you got to study media, all of these different things. And so it's like, for me, building up high-level conversations was saying, okay, we have consciousness, but we take it as a...
Do I have to study those things? Do I, Jaden Crest, have to study those things? Or do I know already? I need to take a break. BRB. How do I pause this? Can I pause this? Dang. Sheesh. I have a hotkey, but I haven't used that hotkey in so long. Oh wait, is it right here? Nope, that's end stream. Stop recording. I didn't realize recording. What BRB? Oh wait. There we go. Whoo, I'm back. It worked. I think it worked. I think that worked pretty smooth. I'm gonna go back and watch that, but let's go. Sheesh. Choked on my spit. Oh. Drink your water. Eat your fruits. Don't forget there's water in everything you eat, you know? Drink your water.
Luxury.
Right.
So I decided to reverse engineer it and make it something as a luxury, make it aspirational, right? Give people something to look at, and then when we got their attention, now you put the medicine in it.
Right.
Right? I believe that, especially with media, it's the most underappreciated and most underpriced source when it comes to getting our attention. You can literally go on YouTube and get lucky and be a content creator and make $30,000.
Right.
Right? But we're not really taking advantage of that. People are moping around in survival mode, feeling bad for themselves at home, trying to figure out.
I hear what he's saying, and it's like, that's, whoa, really? That died? All right, back. Sheesh. Whew. Oh, stream check. Like check. Wait, what the? Oh, that's a shadow. Like check. Boom. Anyways.
Why they broke.
Right.
Right? Now, you wrote a book called Broke Doesn't Mean, or Woke Doesn't Mean Broke.
And if I only made 30K, like doing what I'm doing right now, I honestly be straight. Honestly, I'll probably want a little bit more just for like operating costs and how I want to elevate the quality, but it's okay. Because remember, y'all, this is all starting as a hobby. Yeah. Or you don't feel like you're working if you're doing what you love, right?
Broke,
Yeah.
right? And I believe in that wholeheartedly. So I want to talk about some of your strategies that you apply when it comes to building your media empire.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. You know, one of the things I realized early on was that there's nobody coming to save you. You got to save yourself. And the reason why you can save yourself is because God is you and you are God. I truly believe that God is inside of every single one of us. Sometimes people tend to get it twisted. They think like, Billy don't believe in God. No, it's the opposite. I'm trying to teach you that God really does exist and God is very powerful and is omnipresent everywhere at all times. And you are a version of God experiencing life as who you are in the flesh, see? And so when I came to this understanding at a very early age, I began to realize like, wow, I'm growing up in extreme poverty. I have holes in my shoes. I have 2 pair of pants. I used to bleach my pants at night and then dye them with rich dye so that the people in school thought I had more than 1 pair. That's how I got through school without getting picked on and beat up for that, junior.
One of my homegirls just hit me up, and she was like, "Oh, work sucks still." I asked her how's work going. She's like, "Still sucks." And I'm like, "Well, nothing else for like sometimes, for some of us, sadly, you just gotta do it for the money. And when you get the money, just have fun. And if what you normally do for fun isn't feeling like how you want it to feel, or isn't just feels repetitive, deja vu, it's definitely just time to try something new and just do it and literally take the chance. And if it doesn't work, try something new again, and eventually you'll find something that'll work. And if you had a terrible time, like, don't be scared to laugh at it and make that a story for when you're socializing with your peers or journaling, logging by yourself.
In high school down in Miami.
Damn, Billy.
It's tough, man. Listen, putting
I
cardboard.
thought I was poor, man.
Putting cardboard inside my shoes because I had holes in the bottom. I remember the last pair of shoes my mother bought me were a pair of McGregor football cleats, the rubber cleats. They were $5 at Kmart, and it's all she can
Play
afford.
football?
No.
Damn.
I had to play basketball in football cleats. That's how bad it was.
But was he up here enough to shave off the cleats? Or take off another shoe and I don't know. Maybe he wasn't that here. If I was that poor, for sure. But luckily, I just tell my parents, yo, please let me do some work for some cash.
And I made a decision, right? It's crazy.
It was a multi-sensory experience.
Listen, there's a lot. You're going to hear everything. You're going to hear every step I take. I can't fake nobody out on the court.
Damn.
But you want to know what's crazy? I wore those cleats out until they were flat.
Yeah.
That's how much I had to wear them. And of course, they were 2 sizes too small by then. That's why you never see me wearing sandals anywhere.
Yeah.
But
You got them Cinderella feet.
But the point I'm making is this. I then got into my own business. My dad called me in the room and said, you have to go into business for yourself. You have to find a way to make money. You got to get a job, something. You need to pay $100 a month rent. I was 12. $100.
I wish my daddy let me pay rent. Shit. His house would be paid off quicker. I have a peace of mind.
A month for rent. And I contacted the Miami News, and they hired me. They were hiring 12 to 16-year-olds to go door to door selling newspaper subscriptions. But when I was taking that money in, I didn't blow the money like my friends were buying candy and this and that and all kind of stupid stuff. We were only making like...
I was buying that shit, flipping that shit. I used to want to work. They'd be like, nah. I'd be like, bet. Fasted, got that money.
$120 a week on a good week.
But at the same time, like, a lot of people kind of had the freedom to just go buy their own candy and stuff at my school, so I was kind of really like an enabler.
Save my money because I knew I was going to need it for something. And then...
Or that's what the ops would say. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe I would say 7-8 months into it, I've had this opportunity where I saw digital car stereos for sale in Galaxy Electronics out of New York City.
So if you start selling candy, sell some toothbrushes. Go to Dollar Tree, Dollar General. Bring some toothbrushes. You even have to. Just having it with you, just, just fix your own problem.
And I had already predicted that digital radios would be the future. I'm going back now because I grew up with 19.
He's gonna say some shit we all see coming.
It took a year to build it. I started to realize something at that age, though. Wow, I'm doing this without any real knowledge on how to market myself other than just grinding. So what did I start doing? I started looking in books. Back then, you had to go to the library. I started going to the library. I started reading marketing books. I started learning about things like guerrilla marketing, right? Guerrilla marketing, where you take something that somebody else is already marketing and you piggyback off of their success and the energy and the money they already spent, and you kind of just put your product right on top, utilizing all their efforts. And there was a huge push on digital cars, car stereos, and upgraded, cassette decks and everything else, high power amps.
So basically, there's a lot of money in marketing for someone who did the work but can't reach enough people to make a certain amount of profits.
So I started piggybacking over existing marketing, but I never forgot that.
Before we negative, because there are some dark sides to the industry. There's a dark side to everything, but not all piggybacking is bad. We got dogs. Just saying. No. I don't know the truth.
When I got into building forbidden knowledge, again, what was already done? These big corporations had already spent billions of dollars in marketing for social media and online and everything else. I said, you know what? I'm gonna piggyback off of what they've already done. I'm gonna take forbidden knowledge and I'm gonna pretty much copy a cycle of success that has been used for darkness, and I'm gonna turn darkness into light. So that's what I did.
No, that's key. I think as I look at it, that's a prime strategy, that has been used throughout eternity. It's like, they take the symbols that were righteous symbols, and they understand the power that's embedded into it already. So they take those symbols and then they convert it into their brand, and they put their energy on it. It's like when I went to come out with the crowns, you know, the reason we keep them tied like in the back, like it's a bandana, is so it constantly keeps that connection to the streets, right? Because when I would look at it, I say we'll wear bandanas as a representation of like gang unity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I like to keep it tied, at least really tight. Um, because I always feel like an invisible crown, like on my head. One, that's a positive way of looking at it. Two, scalping. You can't forget scalping. Okay? So, you know, RIP to the Native Americans. I think that's a very old thing. Scalping was actually turns out scalping went way back. But yeah, so either you're on some king shit or someone's preying on you when you feel that pain. But or it could just what we call a headache, and you take some Tylenol or apply the pressure with some ice. You know.
Gang color, the gang archetype.
Because sometimes, not this turban, but like my actual cloth turban, I'll tie it and apply pressure to my thing, which will manipulate the blood flow and really helps. If you want to get a little bit deeper in there for you.
Right, but it ain't nothing for the gods.
Yeah.
Right? So I wanted to put something that'd be recognizable, be like, okay, bro, got some knowledge yourself.
Right.
But at the same time, it has to look good, right? Same thing with high-level conversations. We study media first. You can want to get out a message off.
Speaking of look good, just take your time, flow, as you're tying it. You know, kind of look at it as a dance, and you know, eventually you really just kind of fall in love with it. It's pretty fun.
All you want to, but you got to be the god of your time, right? So therefore, you have to use the greatest resources of your time to do it the best, right? Now, if you're following somebody else, you don't have first mover advantage, right? But I looked at where we was at in culture right now and the gaps that's missing. Number one, most of our shows that we have are about gossip, distractions, sex, trauma, things of that nature. So, you know, I look at things like Hidden Colors. I look at things like Sonetta TV. And I remember growing up in Oakland, California, we had a channel called Soul Beat. Soul Beat, ever since I was a child, I would have to go on stage and I would have to, you know, remember lines. Sometimes it'd be about society. Sometimes it'd be about the planets.
Wow.
Right? And this was a black-owned media channel, right? And every year I would look forward to remembering those lines, going on stage and performing.
Yeah.
Because I went to a black Muslim school.
Okay.
So as I got older, and I think about the way that I go about transforming society is I use all different mediums. I'm gonna take the knowledge that's out there and I'm gonna execute it in a manner to where we can use it to build something positive. So High Level Conversations was taking all of the pre-existing shows, all of the knowledge I had about marketing, you know, the auditory experience that you have. Like if you listen, shout out to Amechi, he puts it together very well. And the B-roll that we have, because we needed to reset attention.
Right.
Right? I understand that we're constantly losing focus. So we have to have people sit there for 2-3 hours, but you have to sit there long term to catch the full concept. So I say you understand me a lot because I don't want to be misunderstood. Right? If you put a clip on, like we did one about relationships, I put a clip on social media and there was a lot of people that were triggered and mad, but everybody who watched the full show loved it.
Yeah.
Right? It's because and the full show allows for full context.
Right.
Right? So now when you understand something, you're forced to accept it. Right? So you can't be misunderstood and can't be triggered. And I'm like, go watch the full thing. And they're like, no, I don't like what you said. Right? So if you say something nice about women nowadays, you know, I say, man, y'all need to go trick on women. Women love him. Power to that, man. But you say, like, anything that holds women accountable, oh, no, I thought you was with us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but if you watch the full show, you understand the context in which the subjects were being presented.
Right.
And so we knew we wanted people to sit down for a long length of time. So if you...
Polygamy's kind of chill. I don't know about tricking. But hey, you know, a manager is a manager.
We're going to start a show and we need to see more of these, you know...
The question is, are you managing them, or are they allowing you to manage them? And where is the safe balance between the two?
Say
Progressive, catchword, progressive.
enlightenment. conversations that we have, the remoralization of society, we have to talk about higher level things, right? So you have to spend a budget on it. You have to have a team to where you get somebody where it's high quality production, especially in the age of AI. People will not settle for low budget production anymore, right? You can say, I ain't got nobody to edit. They now have AIs, video.ai.
Some, like, all these videos, when I can't afford it, I can just pay, whether it's $30 now or $500 up the road, to redo all my videos with like a visual animation for you, you know? Or someone, or a kid that wants to be a graphic designer, I could pay him to do it, and he can eat off that.
It'll edit everything for you.
Right.
It'll chop it up, and you have some AIs that will tell you the virality, you understand me, that this clip could possibly be. Now, when we first started, none of that stuff was there.
You could keep overpaying for commercial auto coverage, or you could get insurance
Bro, put me on I need to put these people in my videos.
from Bybird and pay as little as
Like, look, an ad
$23
popped
a
up,
month.
so hopefully
The
I'll get
choice is
monetized.
yours.
I'll just get monetized.
Get an instant.
YouTube will just break me off.
Learn how to edit on the phone. I used to use InShot a lot.
InShot.
Edit it. I would throw on my sounds. I would throw in the B-rolls. But the way I did is
Yeah, if I could just get monetized and YouTube just breaks me off, that'd be cool. Because then me and YouTube would have a very coherent relationship. Like, we'll flow pretty well. Yeah.
I studied newspapers. I studied the way they put together titles and clips. And I learned the empathy model, right? That if you're at a restaurant, you know, it's the unspoken needs that a good waiter understands, right? She know when you may have been waiting too long, so she gonna come and check on you, right? That's empathy. She knows that, oh, I forgot to bring them a spoon, or they probably didn't ask about this, so you start to feel like a mind reader. And content, the way you do it is, you know, sometimes a person doesn't want to have to look at your clip to know what it's about. So we'll put the subject up there, right? We'll put the date that it came out, the subtopic, who's in it. And then sometimes we'll take the most viral part of the clip and we'll put that in front as a short little burst so you know what's coming. So it's setting the mind up for you to watch the whole thing.
Locks you in.
So we didn't just put out content because we understand that, you know, the devil works hard, but sometimes the God be slacking. He think the knowledge is enough. It's the execution on how you present the knowledge that makes it godly.
That's right. That's
right.
Okay, that's the first time he actually used like his power of the whole thing. Like, what the fuck? He was like, all right, if you're a god, let me see how you're gonna talk. And he was like, the devil. Okay. And how you're supposed to wait. Let me run that back. Why peep that? People hated that. Spiritual warfare. It's a spiritual warfare tidbit. People hated
But
that.
the devil works hard, but sometimes the God be slacking.
He said the God be slacking. The God. I'm not saying blasphemy. Heart attack. But yeah. Sometimes we be slacking, bro. That's why I'd rather not be by myself. Whether I'm the alpha or the beta or the group of alphas.
He think the knowledge is enough. It's the execution on how you present the knowledge that makes it godly.
That's right. That's
right. God didn't just write on a piece of paper. You know, there's a lot of people who read the Bible, people who read the Quran. They're more beautiful books.
Yeah.
It's written, it's ordered, there's verses, there's chapters, there's glossaries. The way it's presented is sublime, right?
Organized.
There's a reason that one is black and gold and one is green and gold, right? The pages, everything has to be presented at a high level. And we have to be able to take our culture and say that it's not enough for us to make clothes. We have to be able to compete with the top factories. We have to be able to compete with those who making clothes with Baphomets on it if we want to put the God energy on it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because all of the energy and marketing and branding that they spit in that, and then you come with a shirt talking about, bro, buy mine. Y'all don't support black business.
Right.
Because we can't tell that you actually love your business if you don't put no quality into it.
Yeah, gotta be quality, has to be high level. And that's a good point. When I started Forbidden Knowledge TV, in the very beginning, I didn't really have all the tools in place. I just knew I had an idea. I didn't like what was on mainstream.
Yeah, like this $2,000 computer is like, what the fuck? And then these lights, that's like
TV, so I wanted to start my own TV network. And initially I said, you know what, instead of waiting around, you just got to get going, right? And this is before a lot of this new technology came out. So I started.
Yo, the microphones I've been through, I'm like, yo, I thought the Mac microphone would be enough. And especially considering all the good reviews I've heard about it. And as soon as I get it, oh, the mic. Buy a new mic. Oh, that mic sucks. Like, what?
Gathering up just
And at
content.
the same time, it's like, why are you listening so hard? You know?
Whether it was good, bad, as long as it had knowledge in it and it was going to teach somebody something, the quality ranged greatly. But it got us going. And then, long story short, I realized in order to not only capture the subscription base, but to keep them, you have to increase the quality.
That's a fact.
And so we began working to increase the quality. So production costs literally went from $0, then grew to about 7,000 and 20,000 and 15,000. Saw the attrition drop. We saw the amount of excitement for the network increase. And then we were able to get approved on all the major networks, Samsung TV, Apple TV, all the other major, Roku and everything else. But also it took us realizing, hey, this is not just a small business. We have to compete with Netflix, Amazon Prime, all these other major networks that are out there. And what's gonna differentiate us from them? It can't be the quality.
Right.
It's gotta be the content. So our content differentiates us, but the quality now is on the same level and continuing to grow. That's what you gotta always remember.
And on top of that, it's like and I'm talking about media because no matter what you do, right? Whether you're a revolutionary, whether you're a politician, whether you're a business owner, everybody has to know how to put out their message, right? Because this is the way a person is gonna feel something about what you're doing, right? So one person may not have the best movement, but the way to get the message out to the people may be the best.
Yeah, earlier they were talking about like nature and shit. They never got back into that.
It may evolve into Goldwater or sports.
I think there's a lot of money in the nature and demolition industry and the bacteria industry.
Moss, right? Because we're trying
for the current times.
To get people to do healthy things. So it's like I study design and I study aesthetics.
Reconstructing old places to more newer, structurally sound places, whether it be physically like a human city or town or geographically? Biologically, with like trees and plants and veggies and bison or mammoths. Yo, when the mammoth thing came out, I was like, yo, life is not real. But we're still waiting to see if that really happens. Actually, let's check up on that. Green. 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Shorts, videos, live, subscription, recently uploaded. You saw how it went right over my answer. That's crazy. Devil was working.
The woolly mammoth is coming back from extinction, and it's much closer than you think. 10,000 years since they vanished from the face of the earth, scientists are attempting to bring them back. After being discussed for nearly 10 years, the
like
bioscience and genetics company...
hate it. Ugh. No issue with him. It's just 20 other people sound like him.
First one they're working on is the woolly mammoth, right? And this isn't just for fun. This has real, like, important conservation implications, which is really fascinating. But they are planning on starting with, I think, 100 mammoths and putting them at this park in Siberia that they've been doing this experiment on as to what happens when you add megafauna back in.
That'd be good. I used to talk to this Russian girl, and she used to tell me that, like, outside of that one city in Russia, like, it's kind of third world out there.
Into the Arctic tundra to offset carbon emissions.
So They're using what DNA? They're using elephant DNA and mixing it with something else?
So it's Indian elephant, it's the closest living relative to the woolly mammoth. And so they're taking
you could see it.
Indian elephants and they're using CRISPR technology and they're using existing mammoth DNA and they're making.
You know, my theory is for like shrinking, having babies at younger ages and not eating as much, and then possibly not like doing as much physical activity because life was kind of easier, you know? See what I'm saying? Like little things like that. I mean, that sounds like natural Darwinism, but it's just like, when you look at the big picture, it usually makes sense in a way.
An embryo, and then they're implanting it into the Indian elephant, and 22 months later, an Indian elephant's gestation period, she will give birth to a mammoth. First one they're working on is
The woolly mammoth is coming back.
How the hell do you bring a woolly mammoth back? What does it mean?
So we're not trying to clone these animals because we don't have living cells. We have frozen cells and we've got dead cells, and it's massively fragmented DNA. So we actually have to assemble a genome and then compare it to a reference genome to kind of fill in those gaps from its closest living relative. In the case of the mammoth, that's the Asian elephant. You know, we're well on our way. We believe we'll have
Oh, look, this one says Asian elephant.
our first calves
But no.
by early 2028.
Asian is a more modern way to refer to as East Indo-Asian, South Asian.
The biggest hurdle is it's a 22-month gestation.
How the hell do you bring a woolly mammoth back? What does it mean?
So we're not trying to clone these animals.
Can woolly mammoths really save us if we bring...
Black people should start a petition for black on race to be changed to brown. Unless black is how we're like withholding our human control on reality, which is like some real conspiracy shit right there, I would say brown. That'd be a cool thing to advocate, right? I'm gonna do that. That'd be a cool thing. I'm gonna troll some people. I'm like, okay, sign a petition to change black to brown to help end the racism issue. Oh, I gotta write that down. I'm gonna remember that. I say that all the time in my head.
Right? And in that design aesthetics, I need to first make sure I'm making products that's shareable.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, like, I want y'all to really understand, it don't matter if you have your heart in the right place, right? If you don't have the expertise to get people and to deliver that, right? Because a person can take the wackest song on the planet Earth and they can spin it enough time and they can package it in the right way, and eventually you actually start liking it.
Yep.
Because you've heard it so many times. So for me, the content is a transaction for attention. Attention is human consciousness, right? Consciousness, once it gives observation to something, it brings it to life, right? So by studying that on the physics side, I said, okay, I started studying percentage. Like, you have omnipresence. And omnipresence is, you're not just on Instagram. That same video, it might be on 20 other, Instagrams. It might be on TikTok. It might be on YouTube. Because if you really feel a great way about it, then you need to utilize all the mediums to make sure that your message is out there and it's flooded.
That's right.
When Russia was putting out propaganda to try to get black people to get stirred up on race relations during the Obama administration, they was putting out content everywhere that was race baiting us all the time. And you didn't know it was a bot, but it was. And with AI, these
Race baiting. It's tough.
things are going to get worse where you can't believe your eyes. You're not going to be able to
I'm happy to see we finally like reach that stage and the ending of segregation.
believe your ears. You're not going to know what's real. Social media is such a land of illusion that you can't believe nothing on there. So how do you compete?
Yeah.
If you don't have a brand and you don't build a community today, I don't believe...
You can wait till it shows itself in real life, but conditions have to align.
your brand has a future at all. So for me, it's not about just, I'm gonna create a business and I'm gonna have my heart in the right place. You have to have your mind strategic. That's for revolutionary.
Yep.
So once I become revolutionary, and
Oh, I was
now
trying to view the products.
I can interact it in a way to where I'm being original, right? So now I can have presence. Now I know how I want to take over. And if you take that, not only when we talking about technology, but when you're talking about life, we have to become strategists. War strategy is something that most people don't study ever.
Never.
And throughout human history, it's probably the little most known knowledge because people didn't have access to war strategy. People didn't study Sun Tzu or Hannibal Barca or different wartime generals. But in times of war, you have to study the playbook of your enemy. So you would know the tools and the tactics and strategies that he's using on you. So you don't know if you're in a constant fight for survival, right? Versus we're supposed to get to a place of actualization to where we're in our imagination playing and thinking about things we want to have happen. But in the hoods of America, I can give you all of the game. I can tell you the content strategies. I can tell you how to do the marketing properly, right? I can give you strategies of how to go build up YouTube channels to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. I can tell you how to build a book instantly to become an author. I can tell you all these things. But if you're in survival mode and you got trauma inside of you, you're not thinking long term.
Yep.
Human beings can multitask, right? We don't always do it.
Yep.
Human beings can multitask. Inside of you, you're not thinking long term.
Yep.
Human beings can multitask.
They
right?
can,
We don't always do it
but he's showing people who can't.
well, but the way our
So I
brain
guess he
works
said
is we have a
can't.
small dot focus and a big dot focus, right? I can be over here, and my small dot can be thinking about, what this audience is. Then my big focus is over here. It's like a circle in your mind. Black America, our focus becomes narrow when we in survival mode because all we can think about is that thing that's holding us back. All we can think about is that feeling that we've heard that's there, but when you look inside you, there's everything.
Everything is this.
Right?
Everything. Yeah.
And we get to this place where we can start pulling out what's in our head when we teach our children to go into their mind. And what's your vision? Right? Like, what's your vision for this technology? What's your vision for the future? What do you imagine the world would be? Like, think about it for a second, and I need us to pause. We don't have that much time, right? And I need us to pause for a second. I need everybody to think about their vision for the next 50 years. Close your eyes. Can we play some 432? This is the most important thing. It's called harmonic convergence, when you can get a mass amount of people to start having visions, right? Because without us having that vision, we don't have direction, which means we don't have a destination. If we can get the hoods across America and the streets across America to be able to relax in a calm state and start thinking beyond, tomorrow and next week and next month, it forces them out of survival mode. It forces them into strategy mode. It forces them to care about things beyond the moment. So now it changes the way you eat. It changes the way you talk. They said by 2053, black people won't have no wealth. Then they said by 2073, Latinos will have no wealth. That's a vision they're trying to implant in our head because our wombs are very powerful.
I've never heard that.
And they know we'll give birth to that reality by not having assets. So assets are things that bring value. It's not the fact that we don't have money. We have to change our habits to where we invest our time and our energy and our resources, and then we have wealth. But without knowledge to pass down to the next generation, they don't have the know-how to execute. So we have to start getting to a place where we are complicit in what our future is. So buying gold, having land, having life insurance, setting up a trust, having an LLC, having an essential product, having a family strategy and plan and business order, having a crest for the family, a family Bible, having family meetings and dinners, right? Setting up an operation and an operator's mandate on how the family thinks and what is this family for? Yes. What is our vision? What is our mission? What are our principles? All of these have to be written down because we're not in a fight for space. We're in a fight for time. If we want this to be our time, then we have to write it down and we have to execute and control it, because the way the enemy understood that as long as he was fighting in the physical realm, right, he could never win. But when he written it down, he had a Magna Carta and a Constitution, and he put it on book, Now he was able to control the world. Because whether he's alive or not, his systems are still thriving. Right? He know if I can put it in this child, that child, when I die, they're going to take my ideas and they're going to carry them on to the future over time. Right? So now, while you trying to fight for a block, he's fighting for the next 100 years. So we're in a war for time. Is this our time?
You gotta make it your time.
So let's be calm. Because we're not used to that. We're not used
Wakanda
to going in the
forever.
room and just sitting down. We have to constantly be in a social interaction, constantly having static where we can't hear our thinking. So let's hear ourselves for a second. Let's see what's inside our minds.
This is you. You use Betterment. And this is your money with Betterment. Your money's hustling, rising, grinding, and burning that midnight oil. And hey, you've got time to crush a 1,000-piece puzzle. Your money is a multitasker, automatically diversified.
And as you imagine, I need you to think about the greatest version of yourself. I need you to see yourself beyond where you ever thought. Because if you can see it in your mind's eye, it's possible in reality. I go inside my mind and I think about the greater version of myself that I am today. One who speaks better, thinks better, one who listens better, communicates better, one who is healed, one who has great visions and great execution. I study this person. I ask them questions. And then I think about how to become them. Think about seeing myself happy in a good space and rest and relaxation and calmness, but only so I can operate from that space of being clear and execute with aggression. So I want you to see yourself. We're here to build that in your mind, to become that version of yourself. You have to know that today is your lowest level. This is your lowest level ever. Your mind equals your potential, your awareness, your vision, which brings about that transformation. I need you to breathe in this new person. I need you to integrate with that person that you see in your mind. And I need you to operate as they are so that you can become that person. Take a deep breath. As we leave here, there's one final thought I want Brother Billy Carson to give us. I want to see mental health facilities all throughout America, but not just mental health, brain health. As I study what we need, a lot of us, there's things wrong with our brain, and we have certain regions of our brain that's overactive or underactive. And none of us probably ever get a body scan or a brain scan. So a lot of us are misdiagnosed. We think there's something wrong with us, right? On a mental level, a lot of times it may be physical. And until we become aware and we can pinpoint what's wrong with us on a physical level, we can't change it. So I want to see where we set up facilities where we can do brain scans throughout the hoods of America and the urban areas of America. Because what they've identified, if they can look at your brain health, then they can put you on a regimen. And that regimen was able to decrease violence, decrease aggression, and catch some of these issues at an early state and an early age so that it doesn't become worse later on. Instead of throwing us in a cage, right, we diagnose it properly and we're able to heal through it, because Black men in America have the worst statistics out of everybody when it comes to mental health. So we know that this is an interior fight. It's not an exterior one. It's not one we gonna win with guns. It's one we gonna win of the mind once we become healed. So brother, if you can leave us with this last story of how you were able to get healed right from your own traumas.
Yeah, one of the greatest futures of mankind will be true rehabilitation through the mental, not through putting people in cages and abducting people and putting them in cages. If you look at the statistics, about, of course, 70% of the people that are locked up are people of color, and about 50% of those people are locked up on victimless crimes. They didn't hurt anyone except themselves. So we have to turn this around. But going to my own story, in 1990, I got into a car accident. I fell asleep in a passenger side of a vehicle, and my friend who was driving fell asleep. He had a heavy foot. I didn't have on a seatbelt, and I was reclined all the way back. I was ejected through the front windshield. That's what this scar is. You can see this right here. This whole eyelid is actually not real. It's like attached skin. It's called a starburst incision. I went through the front windshield, hit the ground, and rolled.
It's called a starburst incision.
Starburst, yeah.
It just happened to be some cool stuff.
I know, right?
You do your thing, and you do it well. Now, it's time to do it bigger. It's time for Shopify. Shopify makes it easy to set up your online store, expand into new sales channels, and bring your brand into the real world. Get everything you need to launch your business today with Shopify.
Congratulations. Your mijo and your money are off to college, and you don't know how you're going to pay for it. Just ask your home. Your home's got equity, and with Rocket Mortgage, you can use it to get cash quickly.
I rolled down into the gutter. Blood was squirting out everywhere and everything else, and ended up going to the hospital. They took the glass from behind my eye and everything. Fortunately, I didn't lose my vision. But that incident that happened had a long-term effect on me. Initially, I wasn't able to detect it. Over time, I started losing my ability to learn how to navigate, to know where I was, to just things that are simple like walking home from a store or driving to a mall or remembering where I parked my car or remembering how to get to certain parts of my own house. It just gradually got worse and worse and worse. I would say maybe about a year and a half ago, I was actually with Elizabeth. We were actually going to a movie. We were in a movie theater, walking towards the movie, and I walked into a wall because I thought that wall was a pathway. That's when it was like, okay, this is crazy. Fortunately for me, she had some contacts with Dr. Daniel Amen, who's the world-leading psychiatrist. He's a 14 times New York Times best-selling author, and he started doing these SPECT scans. Now, these SPECT brain scans were looked down upon by his peers, because they were like, how dare you try to diagnose the brain injuries when we can just give these medicines? You're making us look bad. You're actually treating these people and curing them versus just giving them the meds. And people are coming to us saying, hey, what are you doing? He fought against a lot of adversity, even death threats.
And they're the only profession that doesn't look at their actual organ that they treat.
Exactly. Most people, you break your arm, you go to the doctor, what are they gonna do? They're gonna look at that arm, they're gonna scan it, they're gonna put an MRI, they're gonna figure out how to put it back together, look at the ligaments and everything else. When you're going with a brain injury, they just really look in your eyes, check your heart rate, and next thing you know, you're getting prescription drugs. That's not treatment. That's just putting you on a drug. These are illegal drug dealers putting you on drugs that they're going to profit from ongoing. And they know that's going to spiral into all kind of other issues and problems. Well, Dr. Daniel Amen did something totally different by putting me on this SPECT scan. Elizabeth was nice enough to call down there and get me an appointment in Hollywood. I ended up on this TV show called Scan My Brain. Okay, that episode is actually on YouTube. You can watch it. You can see an image of my brain on that show, and you can see the reason why I was getting lost is because I had two giant dimples right on top where the navigation center is located. In the back of my brain, I had a giant hole, and also he saw a trauma.
In Chinese cultures, I think they used to like tweak the brain back in the day too. No. That was someone else.
Pattern, which is a diamond-shaped pattern on the top.
Neurology's been around for a surprisingly long time.
Top of my brain. When he sees the trauma pattern, he knows that person's been through significant trauma in their life, and he talks about it on that episode of the show. Without him knowing anything about my background, he was able to read me like a book. He knew that I had gone through some severe trauma growing up. But as he asked me more and more questions, and they gave me an IQ test and put me through all these tests for like 7 hours of tests I had to take, it was crazy. Then he came back and he goes, you know what? Something interesting happened to you. You didn't develop PTSD. You developed something called PTG. I said, what's that? He said, post-traumatic growth. He says, typically, when people go through this type of trauma and brain injury, they develop PTSD and they take on the victim mentality. But you didn't do that. You took on the victimless mentality. You said, let me become a solutions provider. And so by looking for solutions and not claiming myself to be a victim, I was able to excel beyond and above my programming code, fortunately. But the average person wouldn't do that. But a lot of people are suffering and don't have the PTG right now, but they can gain it. But you can only gain it if you get a SPECT scan What he did for me was he scanned my brain. He showed me what my brain injury was. Now, just the actual knowledge or the awareness of the actual brain injury and where it was located in my brain, that started day one of healing. Just understanding that there was something wrong. Not that I just thought something was wrong with my brain, but that there was something physically wrong that was creating a situation in my life that I couldn't control was the beginning, day one of actual healing. The second part of healing was his brain, they're not meds, but they're actually like all organic vitamins, organic supplements that he gives out. It's part of his brain formula. It's not a pharmaceutical at all. It's over the counter. And then the third part was different types of brain exercises that he had me doing. Left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand. Specifically, he had me start training and working with table tennis even, believe it or not, table tennis. All the NFL players that get concussion syndrome and concussions, they send them straight to Dr. Daniel Arman. He has a contract for the NFL, and he's curing these guys from their concussions. These men were committing suicide, beating their wives. And
it kind of like knocks you back down. Like sometimes people get so traumatized, it's like you lose like years of experience. You know, like you honestly you get younger. I've realized, especially with like overgrown PTSD kids that I've worked with. I can't violate HIPAA now, but I've seen some shit.
their kids committing crimes, going into deep depressions. And people thought, oh man, these people are just dumb, they're just crazy. No, they have a brain injury. And there's a lot of people walking around that don't play football, that are going through similar problems and issues that don't know. They might have fell down when they were 2 years old and got a brain injury that's affecting them right now as a grown adult.
Right.
And you'll never know until you bring awareness to the situation, which is why his work is so important. And now he has clinics all over the country. So if you can go and get a SPECT scan, if your kid is acting out, you can't figure out what's wrong with your kid, I think it's...
I've gotten a few SPECT scans, but like at the same time, it's like, because I feel like the gene thing, it works two ways. Like, it could be PTG, like he said, to where naturally, like, we just know certain things from like a birth, and then two, as you still have to domesticate to reality. So like, as you're getting older, you're still like, you have to like get a grip on like this 3D world before you move on to the next thing. Death.
His nephew was attacking or had attacked some other person severely. And they were like, this kid is crazy. We got to lock him up. We got to put him on drugs. He did a SPECT scan, discovered that he had a brain injury that nobody knew about. And once he gave him this regimen, like what he put me on, and the brain injury was healed, like mine's is actually healed now. In episode 2, you can see almost a year later, my brain injury completely gone. My navigation capabilities completely back. I can see maps in my head now.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? It's incredible.
And I think the key to that is awareness, as he said. You know, we have a lot of issues that exist in our community, but we don't really have awareness of where the root of it is. All we see is the effects of it. So we see the anger, we see the issues, we see the violence, we see the crime, we see the dysfunctional families, but the root...
On that healing note, this is about toxic masculinity and her being obsessed with a guy. And this is like the early phases of a relationship. You can see it. As you get older, sometimes this lasts for a while. But like when you're younger, this could last for a while. But when you're older, like this could last for like a day or like a couple dates sometimes. Never mind. I thought this was the name of a song, but I can't think of the song. It doesn't matter that much.
If we become...
before I get my black card taken, you know, there's always
aware of the root, that's where we can make significant change. That's where the problem is, right? And so now we at this place to where we can really look at and diagnose these things from a level because we have access to information like everybody else. That's our wealth, right? But activating and executing in that manner because that stress can
sleep and cap naps. And he was talking and I don't really, I guess you could say I was asleep for whatever a couple minutes ago. Came back feeling great. You even heard it in my voice. It's different. See what I'm saying? But at the same time, I need to clear my throat. Like, I feel it. I need to clear my throat.
cause that as well, cause inflammation in the brain. The physical and the violent attacks and the traumas that we go through, it causes inflammation in the brain, right? So there's a lot of young men and black men and women walking around here right now that don't know that their issue is a physical one. And as we talk about mental health, it's really brain health. We don't just need to be inside talking to somebody on the couch. We need to.
Turmeric is great for inflammation. If you still eat rice, I suggest turmeric rice. If you like curry chicken, try turmeric chicken every now and then. Or put a lot of turmeric in your curry chicken. And don't forget salt. Sea salt works best.
Be outside, right, in nature. So, listen, we don't have too much time. We about to get out of here in a second. But in true fashion, I need to ask y'all a question. Are we low level or high level?
High level.
Are we low level or high level?
High level.
Come on, stand up, Detroit. Make some energy in the room, man.
Ooh.
We came here today.
All right. That's where I tap out. All right. Deuce, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah.